Hello, ladies of the CWL. It's Nick Carvalho. I don't know if you guys remember me. I hope you do. It's been a while since I was there last. I was hoping to come and visit this summer, but probably not. Anyways, I was speaking with Carmel, and she said, why don't I type something up? I thought, well, I might as well just make a video and present this, what I hope to share with you guys. What I hope to share is what I'm doing. I'm a missionary with Catholic Christian Outreach, or CCO for short. And I've been at the University of Victoria for this past year, so I'm in my home in Victoria right now. And I just want to present to you what's happened on campus and what I'm going to be doing about CCO and how you can get involved. I would love for you to be excited about what I'm doing. So even if in the end you're like, oh, I can't give financially, that's fine. I want you to pray about it, because people often can give, even if they choose not to. And more than anything, I want you to turn to the Lord, to ask Him for guidance, to deepen your relationship with Him, but to be so excited about the mission that I'm doing that you want to invite others in. So I'm a full-time missionary with Catholic Christian Outreach, and I get to raise my salary. So to fully fundraise my salary 100% by the donations of people who want to support what I'm doing. So that's what I'm inviting you into. Right now, what I'm going to try and do is share my screen and share a presentation that I normally would give in person, but because of the circumstances now, we're doing everything online. So hopefully it all makes sense. I can share the slides and you can see them, and I'll talk through them so that again, by the end of the presentation, you understand what I'm doing and that you are excited about it and want to get involved. So here we go. So Catholic Christian Outreach, oops, I did not share. Sorry, let me try that again. Okay, there we go. So Catholic Christian Outreach, the name of the organization that I work for, and we are interested in building up leaders for the renewal of the world. So what does that mean? Hopefully you have some good guesses at it, but basically God created the world in harmony, in union, communion with Himself. We destroyed that through sin, and we constantly do that every day, every time we choose sin. But God wants the restoration of all things to Himself. So He sent His Son Jesus to die and restore all things to Himself. And we want to build up leaders who are interested in making that happen. So Jesus commanded it, that we go and spread the good news to all nations. And we want to build up people who are excited to live out that command. So I want to invite you to think about supporting me in these three ways, and not one out of the three. Some people do that. Oh, I'll take option 2. But I'd like to ask you to think about supporting me in these 3 ways. So by your finances, by your prayers, and by referring or inviting others into this. Again, it might not make sense right now, or maybe you're a bit hesitant. Hopefully by the end, you are asking me like, okay, how can I do it? So why do we exist? There's a need. For every organization, hopefully it exists because there's a need that has to be fulfilled. The spiritual need in Canada, here's some stats that reflect that there's a great need. So about 50% of Canadians consider themselves non-believers or spiritually uncertain. About 80% of Catholics leave the church by age 23. So right when they're graduating university, these young people are choosing to leave the church and have nothing to do with it. And less than 10% of Catholic millennials actively practice. So these numbers reflect the great sadness. If we were created for God, to be in relationship with Him, and He is our ultimate happiness, then obviously these numbers reflect that that's not happening. It's a great sadness, and we want to correct that wrong. We want to bring people into relationship with Jesus. So our mission statement is, Catholic Christian Outreach is a university student movement dedicated to evangelization. We challenge students to live in the fullness of the Catholic faith, with a strong emphasis on becoming leaders in the renewal of the world. So I want to just focus on those 3 parts in this mission statement. We are a university student movement, so we direct all our energy and time to that target audience. We believe they are the leaders today, tomorrow. They're the future doctors, priests, lawyers, dentists, mothers, and fathers. They're young adults that are out of the house making decisions with what to do for the rest of their lives, and we want to reach them at that critical point in their lives. So that's our target audience. I've been working at the University of Victoria last year, and I'll be here this coming year. We want them to embrace the fullness of the Catholic faith. We believe as Catholics that Jesus did establish the Catholic Church. And so we don't simply want to just bring students to a belief in God and say, oh, go, believe in whatever God you want or choose whatever religion, they're all the same. No, we actually believe that Jesus wants all people to be part of his church. So we invite students to come to know Jesus and to embrace the fullness of the Catholic faith. And then not, again, to be satisfied with just that, but to be so changed by their relationship with Jesus that they have to reach out to others, to invite others into that relationship. Again, if you think Jesus is needed by all people, and if I come to know that and I have a relationship with him, then isn't it my duty? And wouldn't I be so eager and in love, excited to share the gospel with others? So that's basically what we want to do with students. Does it work? And how do we do it? Yes, it works, and this is how we do it. So we proclaim the gospel, we equip students, and we commission them. It's a very simple process, which is meant to grow and expand as it happens. So the proclaim here, we're basically on campus going out to strangers, all the students there that we can reach, and we just invite them to have a conversation with us. And then through the conversation, we share the gospel. So God loves you. We sinned and messed it up. God still loves us, so he sent his son Jesus to die and rise for us. It's up to us to accept or reject that offer. And if students want to know more, then we journey with them. So we equip them through faith studies. As you can see, these were happening in my car, which was my office during this COVID time, because we didn't have space in the house. But yeah, basically just equipping students through faith studies, but again, not only an intellectual sort of knowledge of the faith, but really getting down into the personal aspect of each person's life. So God loves you. Okay, well, what does that mean? How have you experienced God's love? Have you experienced God's love? Have you not? And why not? And really, getting into each student's life, which I've seen it this year have an amazing impact on these students. Most of them that I deal with are born and raised Catholic, but would say they have not had a personal relationship with Jesus until after meeting CCO and going through something like a faith study that has brought them to know Jesus in a much deeper and personal way. So then that's bringing them to a point of commission where they are leaders and they want to reach out to others. And so this cycle again just continues. We meet students, we equip them, we commission them, and then they go out, they proclaim the gospel, they equip, they commission, and more people come to know and love Jesus. So these are just stats of what that actually looks like on campus. These are from this last year. So about 3,000 students were reached by CCO or chose to actually get involved. We reach out to probably 5-10 times that number and get rejected most of the time, but about 3,000 students across Canada decided to get involved with CCO. And out of that, or with that, about 300 student leaders emerged. So then we led faith studies, about 700. So the group of young women you see there with the green books, that's a typical faith study. So, one day a week for an hour, these students would get together and learn about their faith and have a discussion about their relationship with God. And then we, CCO, are on 16 campuses across Canada. And then also there's about 16 other campuses that don't have CCO staff, such as myself, but have students who want to do what we are doing. And so they run CCO programs on their campuses. We run mission trips nationally and internationally, and not to build hospitals or schools, which are great things, but the most important thing, to introduce people to Jesus. So countries and cities invite us, CCO, to come and teach them how to evangelize because CCO is so good at it. And about 70 students a year would join those mission trips. This year, unfortunately, all the mission trips got canceled. I was going to go to New York City to do my mission. Obviously, couldn't do that. Rise Up is the name of our conference that we have once a year, where we invite students from all across Canada, really anywhere around the world, if they want to come and get together to have a great time of building their faith and engaging with other Catholics. Really, it's a time of fun, faith fellowship for these students. So that's what CCO kind of looks like across Canada. So these are students that I have actually encountered this year. I've probably met about 80 students in our group, but these are just a few pictures that I pulled of students that I've got close to this year and got to work with. And each of them, again, looking at them, born and raised Catholic, but did not have a relationship with Jesus, struggling in their faith. And if they followed those stats from before, they probably would have left the church by the time they graduated. But through coming to know CCO, they have given their lives entirely to Jesus and placed him at the center of their life. So that's our goal with all students, with all people. And this is why I want to go back, because I want to reach out to them and more students. And again, all the students in this picture, these pictures, I believe, are part of our leadership that are being trained this summer. So they are going to be involved in reaching out to others next year. So again, that's how we grow. This is a quotation from Pope John Paul II. So I feel called to do this with my life. I could have done anything else. I was offered other jobs, which I could have taken. And people often ask me why I didn't just take a normal job, because I feel that the Lord is asking me to serve him in this way, in this special vocation. So from Redemptoris Missio, Pope John Paul II said, the missionary apostolate is a special vocation patterned on that of the apostles. It is manifested in a total commitment to evangelization, a commitment which involves a missionary's whole person and life and demands a self-giving without limits of energy or time. And so really that's what I feel the Lord's calling me to. Sometimes people say, why don't you get a normal job and just do this in your off time? Well, you could imagine how that might not work with 2 kids and a separate full-time job from evangelization. I don't think I would take my evenings or weekends to go to the university and reach students. So really, it's not practical to say, oh, just get a job and evangelize in your off time. If you're called to do that, great, do what you're called to do. But I feel called to do this with my life, to be a full-time missionary on a university campus. For now, we'll see what the Lord has in store for later. And again, this group, I'm not alone. There's about 120 of us. So about 20 are in the office in Ottawa doing all the admin stuff. And about 100 of us are on teams of 3, 4, 5 people across Canada at 16 universities. So we reach out to the students full time. The students are who, we are the ones the students see. So we kind of say we're the tip of the iceberg that's visible, but we couldn't be there without the rest of the iceberg, keeping us there, keeping us afloat, keeping us stable. And the rest, the majority of the iceberg are the supporters, are my supporters. So that's what I want to invite you into, to become part of the team that keeps me there. If I didn't have that team, I could not be there reaching out to students. So really, it's like we want students to come to know Jesus. Someone has to go talk to them. Well, who's going to do it? Well, okay, Nick says he's going to do it, but he needs to live and feed his family. So I hope that all makes sense. What I want to invite you into then is to consider giving financially. So this is a chart of what a possible team could look like for me. So if there were this many people giving at these amounts, this would provide a monthly salary so that I could afford to do this full time. So, if one person was giving at $500 a month, if 2 people were giving at $250 a month, etc., that would provide enough money for me to do this as a job. I would like to invite you to consider supporting me at $100 a month. And that might seem like a lot, but I want to ask for that. There's people who are giving $350 a month, and there's people who are giving $20 a month. So actually, more than anything, I want you to pray about this and just take it to the Lord and say, Lord, here's Nick doing missionary work, and he needs support. Should I give him support? And if so, how much can I give him? If you would just do that, pray about it, I couldn't ask for more. So that's what I want to leave with you. Pray for me, please. We need your prayers. I need your prayers to be a missionary, to go on campus every day. Some days I don't want to. So please pray that I have the strength to do this, and then pray that hearts are open and changed. It's primarily a spiritual battle. The students that we're encountering, if they're just open to having a conversation, that could go a long way. So please pray for them, and I want to pray for you. So I hope to hear back from all of you. And give me your prayer requests, please, specific things you want me to pray for you. Referrals. So this is inviting other people into the mission. If you read a good book or saw a good movie or ate at a good restaurant, you would probably share that with someone. We do it all the time. We just tell people, oh, go watch this movie or read this book or eat at this restaurant, right? Now we're talking about the gospel, which is the best thing, the only necessary thing that people come to know Jesus. So who are we going to share it with? Who can we invite into this? I want you to think about that. And another challenge or analogy that I want to use is pretend I said, I would give you $1,000 for every referral you give me. So you just give me a name and a number and I'll call them up and have this conversation with them. And they don't even have to answer the phone. But if you just give me their name and number, I'll give you $1,000. How fast would you come up with a list of 20, 30, 40 people, right? And maybe that doesn't motivate you. Well, it speaks to some. But I just want you to think about, again, the mission, the importance, and who can we invite into this? The Lord commanded us to go and spread the good news. So how are we doing that? And how can we support someone like myself who is doing that full time? So please just, again, and most importantly, I'd say pray about it. Take it to the Lord and say, again, Lord, Nick is doing missionary work full time. He needs support. I can't do this without financial help. Who could I reach out to invite them into the ministry to support him? And that alone, again, you praying about it is the best. And then if I reach out to people and you reach out to people and say they say no, if you're just like, hey, neighbor, this friend Nick is doing missionary work, can he give you a call? And your neighbor says no. Hopefully God would just work through your conversation with your neighbor, your friend, your family member, whoever, to soften their heart and turn their heart more towards him. So I hope that makes sense. That's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Hopefully you did. God bless you. And we'll hopefully see you next summer. Bye.